Okay, for those chess trap enthusiasts who have enjoyed the series so far, let's have a look at the Monticelli trap. From Italy, an Italian grandmaster it's been named after. He won the Italian championship 3 times. It's in the Bogo Indian variation, so this is where after knight f3 you want to sidestep the mainline Nimzo Indians. Very, very popular today, this knight f3 move. But black can play bishop b4 anyway, so we get the Bogo variation, which is named after a player called Bogo. Very difficult to spell, but a very strong player in his own right. The Bogo Indian, so bishop d2, and black can take on d2, although sometimes I think they just move the bishop back and to sort of disrupt development, or play a5 even, or queen e7. There's a few alternatives, I think. But say they take on d2, you can take with the queen. Now they play b6, another logical move, trying to contest the e4 square. So it's all very logical, still sort of Nimzo Indian-ish strategy regarding e4. So 2 pieces now on this e4 square. And white's simply fianchettoing the bishop. And after castles, knight c3, black might decide here to play knight e4. Now there's a good reason for this, I think. That if black does get this exchange of knights, then this position looks a bit passive to me for white. If he ever moves this knight, you can take, black will take your light square bishop off, thus weakening your king side a bit and reaching a nice position. So what can white do about that? There's something very cunning white can do in this position, which is the move queen c2. Not just putting pressure on that e4 knight, but you'll notice the whole diagonal. A little clue there for the upcoming trap. Now after knight takes c3, you don't have to double your pawns. That's a bit, the compensation will be a bit nebulous there. Black could set up a blockade, I think, quite comfortably. You wouldn't have too much compensation on the semi-open b file. And also black would have dented your control of e4 in any case. You know, maybe even f5, d6, knight d7 to f6 to try and get a strong grip again on this e4 square. But you've got a cunning resource here, thanks to Monticelli documenting it as well. So I wonder if you can spot it. I'll give you 10 seconds starting from now. Okay, I hope you spotted it from that little clue I gave earlier. Let's also mention b7. The move is knight g5. So not only you're a piece down, you're offering another piece to be en prise, and another piece, in fact. 2 pieces are en prise at the same time. Your bishop, which was being virtually pinned along this diagonal, and your knight to the queen. Okay, but if black takes the queen, sorry, black takes the knight with the queen, bishop takes b7, you end up being the exchange up, for example, like this. So that's very pleasant. The funny thing is, a few strong players have survived the trap. It's not a lethal trap consequence. Although you're winning the exchange, Capablanca against Max Juve, who was a past world champion as well, he played knight e4 as black and managed to salvage a draw, believe it or not. So let's look at this. So Capablanca managed to go the exchange down after bishop takes, queen takes e4, so white's still double attacking a8 and h7 now. So Capablanca went the exchange down, but the piece is a bit, the queen's a bit offside here, and black has some compensation from being the exchange down. So knight c6 now takes the centre pawn, so it's a pawn for the exchange. Rook d1, c5 supporting that knight, e3 trying to kick that knight on d4, check. Now queen f5, hitting f2 and protecting the knight, queen g2 logically protecting f2. Now Capablanca simply plays knight b4, hitting a2. The knight's a bit of a nuisance, so e4, now queen f6 hitting b2 as well. King protects, the knight snaps up another pawn, so we've got 2 pawns for the exchange. Without the rooks having open lines, this doesn't seem to be of devastating consequence in this particular game, white being the exchange up. So knight b4, rook takes d7. Okay, finally white's got the d file, which seems to be very promising, but now black's knight returns to that d4 square after Capablanca plays this move to cement it on d4, reinforce it. So knight d4. Okay, an exchange is an exchange, you may wonder, but this is how the game continued. Rook takes a7, Capa took on f4, took on f4 again, and now after knight f3, white had had enough, because this introduces another tactic. If rook f1, then I hope you can spot what black can do here. If I give you 5 seconds. Okay, knight d2 check. They accepted a draw. The game continued with rook e2, knight d4, rook e1, and draw. And there's been some other strong players like Larson drawing in this line, the exchange down. So let's go back. It's not a lethal trap to set for the black player, but I think overall it's going to be scoring more in white's favour, being the exchange up. So it's probably the strongest theoretical continuation. Queen c2, because you are technically just winning the exchange, but this knight e4 is a resource, and also I've been looking at other lines recently. You know, maybe queen takes g5 as well, so bishop takes, now knight takes, sorry, knight c6, bishop takes. And here, maybe a move like knight takes e2, and if bishop takes, then there's knight takes d4. So, you know, this is also a position I've been looking at in the last couple of days, and it seems to offer black some chances. So it's not a lethal trap, as I say. I'd like to emphasize this. I don't consider it lethal. It's just a way of winning the exchange from this position. So if black plays this logical move, technically you've got a big advantage, but it's kind of tricky. You may also wonder, you know, what if black played f5 here? I've been looking at this briefly. I think knight e5 is very strong, utilizing this pin of the knight against the bishop. So if knight takes, there's bishop takes b7, massive advantage. If d6, you can play knight takes e4 here, and this diagonal's backfiring on black rather badly. So if d takes, there's knight f6 check, so you're winning material again. In which case then, here black would be losing at least a pawn in this kind of variation. So that will be a comfortable advantage for white. So that's why if black, you know, did see this trap and played f5, you've got the strong knight e5 move here. Knight e5. It's difficult for black to do anything here about this pin against his or her bishop. Okay. Okay, Monticelli trap. Please leave any comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.